Welcome to Goddess Behavior, the podcast where ancient myths meets modern main character energy.
We're your hosts, Steph and Laura.
No textbooks, just great stories, hot takes, and some unhinged ancient audacity.
So pour a drink, fix your crown, and step into your mythic era.
This is Goddess Behavior. Okay.
Wow.
So what are we talking about today?
Triple goddess.
Yeah. So triple goddess is an interesting one. I think we've been surprised by it, haven't we?
I think it's interesting how you think triple and you think three-faced, three parts, three. And while the number three is really important in a lot of myth,
you also don't have, it's not as separate as it seems.
Yeah, it's not
definitely
as neat.
not. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think it's been reduced or changed over time, and it really throws everybody off.
And it's a little more, I guess just confusing than
I
we
had
realized.
Yeah, for sure. I think also it speaks to the way that women are viewed over time, because
especially early on.
Yeah, like early on you have one version, and as you go through time it has changed and shifted, as I just said. And I think you really see that in this episode a lot.
Yeah. So we're doing our best here.
We're trying our best to cover all of our bases.
Yeah.
But, it has proved to be difficult. So
yeah.
Right. Well, before there were personality tests and before there were eras, before we labeled women as too young, too old, or too much,
there were three faces: the maiden, the mother, the crone.
3 stages, 3 powers, 3 warnings.
But here's the question: was the triple goddess empowering women or organizing them into something easier to control?
Yeah, so today we're talking about the most enduring feminine archetype in myth and whether she still owns us.
Who actually controls fate? Why are powerful women always split into phases? And what happens when one goddess refuses to stay in just one?
So the triple goddess, let's talk about her as an idea in itself. She represents the 3 stages of feminine life.
So we have the maiden, who's supposed to be sort of this youthful, independent, hopeful.
Yeah. So I feel like I think most people understand maiden because it's like every
like a young
portrayal of a woman ever. A young woman.
Usually young, beautiful woman.
And mother is kind of obvious too, like fertility, nurturing vibes. So like,
cool.
Mom vibes.
That's great.
And then crone, which is an interesting one because I think this one is the most misunderstood.
Easily. Crone is supposed to be wisdom, sort of these maybe endings, transformation.
Right. I mean, it's this almost all-knowing in a way because you're at the quote-unquote end of that cycle.
And
you've
lived,
3 cycles.
It's like a more reflective state because you were able to look back on your experiences and you've learned from them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're seen as someone who knows more because you've lived more life.
Yeah, and like if you look at it this way, like maiden is one end of the spectrum where you're naive, you don't know what you're talking about, or just, you think you know, but you don't. The crone is kind of the other end of the spectrum where has more knowledge, she has more to pass on to somebody else in that way.
And I think that's where she gets maybe misconstrued because sometimes how that message is delivered is not always what the young people want to hear.
Yes, exactly. And so what's interesting is this structure is actually fairly new.
Yeah. It came along a lot later, like 20th century. Yeah. And we see this with Robert Graves.
Yes. And then it became popularized with Wicca.
Yeah.
And Wicca centers a lot of their stuff around
Hecate.
the triple goddess and Hecate and anybody, who is in this triple goddess form.
Right.
So they've kind of reinterpreted. It's a modern witchcraft or witch practice.
Yeah.
So those original goddesses were not necessarily viewed in this way. And we'll talk about it more as well.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
This is where I think what people know as this maiden mother crone situation comes from. And it does not always relate to the original story by any means. So for those who don't know what Wicca is, it's a modern pagan religion, and it began in this mid-20th century timeline, and it draws inspiration from ancient nature-based spiritual traditions. So again, pagan. At its core, it centers around a deep connection with nature, seasonal cycles, a belief in divine energy that often appears as both a goddess and a god.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Maybe, less sort of gender role.
Right.
Yeah.
So like in contrast to like a Christianity, you have just God, right? And then you have in this situation you have both, right?
Yeah.
It places a strong emphasis on personal practice, intention, and ethical magic, often guided by the principle of harm none.
Yeah.
So it does pull from ancient mythology and folklore, but it is modern in its sense as a whole. Like
how it's practiced.
How it's
I guess.
practiced now is not the way that the ancient Greeks did. Like this is a different thing. It's reimagining it into a contemporary lens.
Yeah. So I think our first triple goddess, if you will, that we have to get into is Hecate.
Yes.
I think she embodies this idea really well.
Yes.
And she's really old. So I know we talked about this a little in our first episode with Nyx.
Yeah.
Hecate and Nyx get confused. They get confused a lot. Like they have a lot in common.
It happens a lot, like I said, as time evolves. Like figures shift and change, and like it can very easily become, wait, who's this? I thought this sounds like Nyx. This is now Hecate. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So like those who practice Wicca, right?
Yeah.
Will even call on Nyx first to empower Hecate. Like they're sort of used in the same
realm, if you will.
Realm of power, of sort of that call there.
And I think as we'll cover Hecate, you'll see the parallels.
Yeah. So Hecate is often depicted with 3 faces or 3 bodies. And she's the guardian of this crossroad magic, sort of liminal
threshold
space. Yeah. She's known the best as a Greek goddess associated with magic, the night, and spaces in between. So these crossroads and transitions.
Did see actually after we did the notes for this that she goes back like really far. Like she's not Greek specifically.
No, she didn't start
a lot
Greek.
Of these aren't that way, but like it really goes even further back to like Sumeria.
Yeah, like East Asia. Yeah. I think that's something that we'll continue to see is how these stories are everywhere in one form or another. And so it just speaks to, I think, how long human culture, human nature has been trying to
women.
I mean, also just like the world around them. Like this is just was just how they did it.
So Hecate is related to Nyx. How?
So like Nyx, Hecate predates our Olympian order.
Yeah.
And she never really fits inside of it.
Right.
So Hesiod also was my source for Nyx.
Right. Yeah.
Has her as the daughter of the Titan Perseus.
Okay.
And the nymph Asteria. Hecate has power over the heaven, earth, and sea. Hence, she bestows wealth and all of the blessings of daily life. Okay. So if you think about it, those are 3 really
big, crucial pieces
of our picture. The one missing there is night, which is Nyx.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
So they're like pieces of a puzzle here of like our inevitable forces.
Yeah. Very cool.
So in this initial version with Hesiod, she is this person that most people don't, or this goddess, if you will, that most people don't know or don't think about when they think of her. Early Hecate is generous and vast and, again, an inevitable force, but that doesn't mean that she's sinister. That doesn't mean that she is evil by nature, right?
Right. Well, and I think because she's often like put into the underworld, like associated with that, it again becomes this, she's evil. It's not like again, Christianity, it's a good versus evil. And the Greeks didn't break it down that way.
No.
It's a lot more gray area where the underworld is more than just, a place where all the bad people go. It's not hell. It's all these different levels of it that, everyone who dies goes to the underworld. So it's not a bad place inherently. It's only a bad place if you choose to make it that way, right? Yeah. So Hecate being associated with, or Hades, or anybody else that's related to, I mean, Hermes is even related to it because he's
totally.
A threshold. He can go back and forth.
Right.
So I think that's where it's such a misunderstanding of who she is.
Yeah, I think it's like with Nyx, where it's her inevitability that makes her sort of scary.
Yes.
Right? Or like viewed as like, I can't stop it, And that's the same with Hecate. Yeah. Really? The earth, heaven, the seas, like, whoa, you're not doing anything to stop any of those.
No.
That exists irregardless.
Yeah, for sure.
what we do know is she really is kind of ambiguous. So again, she's at one time, she is like the goddess of witches, the household, this crossroads sort of like traveler. Agriculture. And again, she still has the seas too. So there's so much there that you're like, how is she doing all of these things? Like they just like things were happening and they blamed her. They were like, it's this witchy lady over here.
Exactly. So her powers, if we're putting her in a realm of witches, right?
Oh man. So according to most genuine traditions, she ruled in heaven, on earth, and in the sea, bestowing the mortals wealth, victory, wisdom, good luck to sailors, which again is what we saw with Nyx, and hunters with prosperity. So her these three realms sort of simultaneously.
And again, she's this liminal goddess. Liminal meaning she goes back and forth between all of these things. She's not confined to Mount Olympus like Zeus, but like that's where he rules.
We really don't see her confined at all. Like
yeah, that's from what I can't think of anything either.
Yeah.
Now that you say that. No, and I think
she's a cosmic power. So when the Olympians were attacked by giants, Hecate sided with the Olympians. So we also see her fighting side by side with them. To help defeat the Titans. And we see her as a warrior too there, which is pretty much never it's rarely mentioned. That she actually fought beside the Olympians. She's considered a teacher of the witches and had the power to protect against witchcraft, which is interesting. So like she's a teacher, but she can also protect them from those same things. Right. I think about Harry Potter, right? I think about like how they're teaching them magic, but they also have to
show them how to
defend themselves. So I think of it like that, but it's a weird, especially back then, it was a weird concept.
For sure. I mean, I think she's one of the first people that come up, one of the first goddesses
I know, I keep doing that
come up when you talk about witchcraft.
Hecate is the first one,
and I think that's why everybody associates her with being a witch. Meanwhile, there's so much more to that, as we've just talked about. But I really think that that's why. It's just the modern lens
interpretation of hers.
This is who we talk about when we talk about this magic, if you will. And again, not all magic is bad. So I think that's where this modern version of her is an interesting explanation of who she is.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, so she has these symbols that are used to call on her or represent her. So we have the torch, and her torches were not just tools of illumination, but represented her role as a guide through darkness, both literal and metaphorical. So like you can call on her in like a hard moment. It doesn't have to be literal light. And keys, she is the keeper of the gates between worlds. So we'll get into this a little later with like Persephone.
Again, thresholds.
But she's important with thresholds. And who crosses and when. So that's she's both sides of it.
Same.
I see why people would be afraid of her. I do. She's powerful. And definitely misunderstood.
Definitely. Well, like you said, when somebody, especially a woman, holds a lot of power, you have a lot of fear around it. It becomes fear. People can become fearful of anybody in power, but especially somebody who's a misunderstood figure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, dogs were sacred to her. So they hear things that humans cannot, right? So like dogs hearing is a little more
like I just think about like Cerberus must have been like her buddy.
Right? It's a good they were absolutely.
We definitely have to talk about Cerberus because Bronson keeps talking about him and I'm like, I know, I have to sit. I'll frame a little mini episode
maybe when
for you.
We get when we get to like the underworld, we can talk about the creatures there.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
When her procession approaches, dogs bark first. Like it's like her
an announcement horn, like
kind of,
like you know what I'm talking about, like the procession,
not the bugle, but the dog.
Exactly. Also kind of scary now that if you think about it.
Well, because now we hear their howl as like a call to her, right? It's supposed to be perceived as like a call to Hecate. So whether it's 3 bodies or 3 heads, this depiction captures her essence as the goddess of crossroads, right? Like she can look down all 3 roads at once and sees every direction simultaneously.
Which is really interesting because it is the crossroads metaphor is such a great way to explain how she can be in multiple places at once because you're looking at 3 different paths. You're in 3 different places. There's a lot of like the liminal
3 different
aspect of
like
her.
realms for her too.
And I mean I think her form also is not about age or about a life cycle. It's about how her power can be multifaceted.
Absolutely.
And her being able to be, she's more of like a prophetic figure, so she can see this past, present, future of again the Crossroads reference.
The inevitability
of things. Yeah. And being able to move between the different worlds, and like all of it adds up to why she's so powerful, and that it makes her multifaceted, and it's not triple in the sense of her being a maiden mother crone necessarily initially. I think she evolves into that, but that's not the initial intent. It was to explain how much power she has.
Yeah, I think Hesiod did a good job with Nyx and Hecate of sort of saying like good, bad, no, it's awe. Like it's these are inevitable forces at play here. We don't understand them. Doesn't mean they're bad.
Right.
Yeah. So Hecate is also tied to the night and the moon itself. So similar to Nyx, right? Not Nyx, but similar.
Hecate rules the night and magic and the underworld.
Yeah.
So again, I think as time has gone on, it becomes less and less. Okay. Yeah, I know. I had a moment like that too.
So Hecate exists in like dusk. She exists in that area between them.
In between. Yeah, for sure. I like that. Interesting.
Fun for us.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, and if you think about the different layers, right? Like the earth is what we can see. The sky is what moves above us. And the underworld is what exists in the shadows.
Yeah. And she's in between them.
And she's kind of, and if we still think of her as a liminal goddess, because despite her power being belittled, she still is that.
Yeah.
This in-between shadows and in-between worlds is still her power. And I think we see an interesting connection with her and Persephone. Her and Persephone are buddies.
So when Persephone was abducted by Hades and spirited away to the underworld, right? Hecate was the only one who heard her cries. So this wasn't not Zeus, not Demeter, like
also
none
abducted.
Right. Yeah. So
in my mind, at least.
So dramatic. Hecate heard her in her cave. So she already knew that this had happened. Persephone's mother was wandering in search of her, and Hecate revealed what she had heard. She becomes Demeter's guide, torchbearer, and the witness. And after the reunion, she becomes Persephone's like more permanent companion, right? Like her friend.
Right.
In the underworld. To me, this is Hecate's crone face at its most essential, right? She doesn't rush to act. She doesn't intervene. She witnesses. She knows what's happened. And when the timing was right, she guides, like she's a guide, right?
Yes.
So it's not,
again, this is very good for us, and you guys will see why.
This is, our minds are working here. Yeah. She is the one who keeps the full story. And in chaos, maybe she doesn't act right away.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that.
Right. Yeah. No,
time and place matter.
Yeah, for sure. And the idea of her being this like all-knowing figure.
Yeah.
And maybe knowing things in a way that isn't obvious.
And she's hearing things, she's seeing things, she's there.
Yeah.
But because she exists in that space.
In between space, she doesn't necessarily come out right with it or hide it either.
Yeah. She's not hiding the information.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys. We'll
get there.
We'll get there.
So what we see happen later with Hecate, we see her at first where she appears regularly in Greek art and literature, like 5th century BCE, right? And onwards. So then she becomes increasingly associated with the darker side of human experience. So death, witchcraft, I mean, magic gets thrown in there as a negative experience or a darker experience. The moon, dreams, like her dogs were seen as like scary hounds even, right? Like these ferocious hounds. Yeah. And creatures that roam sort of at night in general.
And like this trajectory, as we've talked about, it's like it gets more and more narrow. Like she goes from cosmic power to
she goes from
the
like
goddess
a
of a house, like the household and things that you can see, right?
Yep.
To then becoming the guardian of the dead. Like, how did that happen? Like, what happened here?
Yeah. She gets villainized as time goes on.
For sure.
And it's reduced to the fact that she is the goddess mentioned most frequently in magical texts. But by the time she appears in like Shakespeare, like think Macbeth, they even change her name. Like he leaves an E out, right?
Oh,
and it just is so, you're like, she is so powerful.
And has been reduced.
And you can't even put her name, like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's odd to me.
Yeah. So in Macbeth, how do we explain how she is? I am not well versed in Shakespeare, so
I mean, she's like a Wicked Witch character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Easy
the best. That's the easiest way.
She has a cauldron and she's stirring
Yeah,
it.
she's our image that we see every Halloween of the witch over the cauldron.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The cauldron.
Our spooky witch.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, Hecate is an interesting one. I really think that there's so much about her that I didn't even know about until we started digging into her.
I think I got into her a lot more than I realized when I was doing the research for Nyx with Hesiod.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
oh, there's too much overlap not to talk about this.
And then I was like, okay, but if I start talking about Hecate, it sounds so much like Nyx that has to be a separate thing.
We have to separate it now. Yeah.
So.
For sure. Well, so the Greeks also have a different triple goddess, if you will.
Yeah.
Not framed in that way, but
also related to Nyx.
Yes. And they are the Moirai.
Yeah. Our fates.
They're the fates. So again, back to Hercules. Eyeball being shared by these three little old ladies.
Yep.
Again.
Oh, man.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting interpretation, Disney. They are the three goddesses in Greek mythology who control destiny for every living being, including the gods.
Again, another unavoidable fate.
Power, absolute, to be honest. So they are Clotho. I think some of our friends might know who Clotho is, which interesting tie. We can go into it if you'd like.
Yeah.
Who spins the thread of life. And then,
oh my gosh,
hang on. Acasis, who measures it. And Atropus, who cuts the thread.
And we see this in Hercules. We see this play out
exactly
with the string.
Yes.
Yeah, they each
have their own piece of this
string
process.
Of their fate.
And so together they decide a life when a life begins, how it unfolds, and how it ends. If that's not insane feminine power, I don't know what is. It's three separate entities, but their power is one power. So
they work together.
Right. Yeah. They're not unlike Zeus, where he rules with force and authority. They're operating on something that's even more powerful and inevitability,
which
they're not inescapable.
I feel like we are really hitting this inevitability force today.
Yeah, even the gods are subject to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while they're not a triple goddess in the same way Hecate is, they're
triple formed.
They're three formed, and they're controlling a fundamental part of existence. Not age, not identity, but fate itself.
Yeah. Birthed by Nyx. Our OG primary force.
Yeah, exactly. And Norse mythology has almost the same
version. Yeah.
The Norns. And they are also three
separate figures. Yeah.
And they live at the base of Yggdrasil, the world tree, like I talked about in our Odin episode.
Yeah.
And they weave and shape destiny of both gods and humans. So the two major mythologies.
Yep.
Maybe not the only ones, but they're two of the biggest ones that are referenced as far as literature is concerned and text. Both have this fate as a big premise.
Fate was a big deal.
And because explained in almost the same way with the three figures.
I mean, I think that we see this across literally the world in these old stories.
Yeah.
Is that they so wanted to have a reason for why death was happening.
Yeah. Totally.
So it's seen as dark and misunderstood, but the fates and the Norns and these other
are explaining things that are hard.
Fate-like goddesses, if you will. Explain that part of life.
Yeah, for sure. So they are Urd, the past, Verandi, the present, and Schooled, the future. So they represent it's a little bit more vague in comparison to the Greek Moirai, because they actually have specific jobs, whereas this is more past, present, future vibes, right? Together, they don't just predict the fate, but they help shape it, and they do it together.
Yeah. So they're not necessarily working in their own corners.
Correct.
Like with our triangle.
Yeah. And Norse thought fate wasn't a straight line. It was often described as a web called the web of word.
Invisible string.
Yes. The Norns are the ones who are weaving it. The past influences the present shapes the future. And the future is already pulling on both.
Yeah. And I think that's what we see. That's what you see in life, right? Is that tied to the choices that you've made.
Right.
And where you
and
come
again,
from.
not necessarily bad or good, but this is just the web that
How
you've
it goes.
weaved. So their power isn't just deciding what happens next, but it maintains the structure of reality itself. A system where everything is connected and nothing happens in isolation, which is even difficult for the gods to escape.
Yeah.
Then the other big triple goddess that I think you see reference also by witches is the Morrigan from Celtic mythology.
The Morrigan is associated with war, fate, and sovereignty. So, like Hecate, she's often understood as a triple goddess, but instead of one figure with 3 faces, the Morrigan appears as 3 separate women. So I think this is where it gets a little tricky. Often named by Macha and Nevin, who together share one power. She moves across the battlefield as like a shapeshifter, often appearing as a crow, and she's known for prophecy. So foretelling death, victory, and the outcomes of war, which is really important to Celtic culture.
Yeah, I think also something I just thought of was that is so much further in the past. So we have to keep that into context too.
Yep.
So we're seeing 3 different goddesses with the Morrigan, that's because we're further in time. So things have shifted in the way that we view these things. Just keep that in mind. Especially during the liminal times like Samhain or Beltane. Those are 2 different times of the year where the veil is the thinnest, according to like Wiccans or people practicing pagan magic. That's where you have like Samhain is Halloween. For those who don't know. So, and I think that's something we can get into is all these pagan traditions, because there's a lot of overlap with these goddesses and things. So
and their powers,
and what they do,
and probably how old their powers really are.
Yes, exactly. And it's also more of like an applicable way to talk about them.
Yeah, I think so.
In myth, she even confronts the hero Cuchulainn, testing him, challenging him, and ultimately appearing at the moment of his death, not as a guide, but as a witness to his fate fulfilled.
Yeah, like she knew it was coming.
Yeah. So it's like interesting because she's not a Grim Reaper,
but she gets pictured as one.
But she gets made one. Yeah, for sure.
Like almost kind of like the Banshee, right?
Yes.
Where like because she's there at the time of death.
They're both in Irish folklore.
Yeah. But
folklore and
they were always fighting.
Yeah, they were a lot of fighting. A lot of drinking and a lot of fighting. It's Ireland. No, I think it's interesting how it's this misunderstood figure.
Yeah.
So she also gets connected to the land itself.
Associated with cattle and wealth, which is sort of just displaying her role as like with the sovereignty goddess, and one who doesn't just influence battle, but the power structure behind it. Just like Hecate, her triple nature isn't about maiden, mother, crone.
Yeah, it's
right. So we're not seeing her
all of her power.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not seeing her in those roles exactly.
It's about multiplicity. But she's chaos of battle, but she's also the voice of prophecy and the force of fate itself. So she covers so many bases that you almost need 3 figures in order to make it make sense, Yeah, so she represents all of those at once. She's not just nurturing femininity. It's part of what she does, but it also is embodying battlefield power and destiny. Yeah. And that's so much
faith
of a bigger, it's such a much bigger concept.
I have Merida in my head right now.
Yeah, exactly. And if Hecate stands at the crossroads, then Morrigan stands at the moment of reckoning.
Oh, again, it's giving dusk.
Yeah.
It's giving like that in-between space.
Yes,
of like
liminal figure.
Yeah.
There is so much more to them than just these 3 section pieces.
And they're not in 3 separate corners. I think like I just like to paint this picture here.
But
like they're connected. They work together, but they're not staying in their individual corners.
No. And you also have Brigid, and she's also part of Celtic mythology.
She's a Celtic, Celtic goddess associated with fire, creativity, and healing.
Yeah, so instead of representing 3 life stages, Brigid's triple nature shows up in 3 dominant powers, regardless.
I think she's like what they needed, right?
Yes,
like the Celts. So like if you think about their battle culture, Brigid is sort of the knowledge, if you will, or like with her, the inspiration.
Yeah.
And then Smith, like
forging.
Smithcraft, so like forging these things.
Yeah.
And then transformation, so like what happens afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, she's deeply tied to fire.
Yeah.
Like that is like Imbolc,
which
is her fire festival. It's the beginning of the year. It starts, kicks the year off. And also, the year starts in March, like it should. Anyway, I will die on that hill. It just is weird to start the beginning of the year in the middle of winter.
Yeah, it's odd. That's not a new beginning.
Yeah, so the beginning of February actually is when Imbolc is. It's not the spring equinox, which is when the year starts.
Well, that's a different.
It's a different.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, and it's marks the tradition from winter to spring, right? So it's this new beginning, light returning, and creative energy being reawakened.
Yeah.
And she is depicted with this radiant presence. So she herself is light, and especially after a long winter, you would imagine in rainy Ireland or Scotland, you would imagine that would be nice to see as
or like a warmth.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like a comfort, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really interesting is where this transformation gets added in is like she's connected to the earth itself, right? And these like
Hecate.
Yeah, and again the serpentine. Taylor Swift's reputation.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to Taylor Swift.
Well, the serpent is a big image. I mean, she used it for a reason.
Her offerings range everywhere from like berries or ale all the way up to like forms of creativity in itself. Like you could dedicate like artwork to her, right? Which is such an interesting concept for such a old society, because a lot of the time they didn't have idle time to make these things, but they found value in it. And you'd see that with the Celts.
Yep.
The way that they create their knots and their
decorative, say, even their weaves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they have value in that. And it's just an interesting thing for such a ancient culture, but all of these things center around abundance, inspiration, and care. So again, very cozy feeling.
So for Brigid, the fire isn't a scary and destructive, it's renewing. Yes. So I think that again, there are two sides to every coin here.
Yes.
And Brigid is often seen as the good side of that coin.
Right. And it's again, like you said, creative, like it creates new, not destroys old. It's
and
a
while two things
destroys
can be true,
destroys winter and brings in
but
spring.
it's a welcomed rebirth.
Thing. Yeah, it's a good transformation, not a bad one.
Her triple form isn't about becoming something over time. It's about holding different kinds of creative power all at once. So she creates, she transforms, she restores. If other triple goddesses control fate or stand at the edge of life and death, Brigid governs what comes next. Mm-hmm. She's not the ending. She's our beginning.
Yeah. I love that. You have the sovereignty goddess of Irish mythology. Eru. Yeah. Oh, guys, I'm sorry.
We're trying.
We're really trying. I wish I could say I didn't practice this, but I did. I still can't say it. But so the land itself, Ireland, is named after Eru, and her sisters, Banva, and Folklore, and they represent Ireland. They're sovereignty goddesses, which means that they don't just represent the land, but they grant right to rule it. So their power also came back to, if a king wanted to rule, he had to have permission from the goddess of the land.
Yeah, from the sister goddesses.
So that's where their authority came from. It had nothing to do with Maiden, Mother, Crone.
No.
It had to do with them being, they layer it as the land itself, then the identity of the people and the authority to rule. So each of them represent
an aspect of it. Yeah.
So she is not about personal transformation, but about political power, which we have not seen. And again, maybe that's because it's a newer mythology
concept.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, newer to mythology.
And so like she isn't just the goddess of becoming anything. She just is the kingdom
already
itself. Yeah,
is
she
the kingdom.
is the kingdom of Ireland, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Zorya, who is described often, it can be either 2 or 3 different goddesses, sister goddesses, that guard the sky and maintain the balance of the cosmos. So most commonly you'll hear about, again, forgive me, Zorya o Trenyaya, the morning star, and Zorya Vencernaya, this evening star. And in some versions, there is a third, a midnight or hidden guardian that watches through the night.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. But three-faceted makes
Yeah,
sense.
three-faceted makes sense. It just is there's conflicting accounts. So you don't always get three, but there are specifically they guard a cosmic force. If released, it could destroy everything. So that's what they're holding on to. So again, very, very powerful. They control all three levels, right?
Yeah. And with it being folklore, right, is maybe in some places they could see all three, and in other places they only saw two.
True.
So I think, again, this is folklore.
Yes.
So on a more local level here, some cities
why the accounts
saw three.
Yeah, that's why we have these accounts that vary, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't follow the traditional maiden mother crone, but it does follow this three figures, one shared responsibility.
Yeah.
They represent beginning, transition, and ending.
And on a cosmic scale, sunrise, sunset, and the darkness in between. Dusk.
Yeah.
It's
so good. Again, they're not talking about identity. We're talking about it would be chaos.
That was their stability. Again, I'm going to go Greek here, but all of these people just so sought this sort of stability in the chaos of their everyday lives.
Yeah.
So these forces were really big and really important.
Yeah, for sure. So, so more folklore and even fairy tales, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? You have the three fates, like we talked about in, three fates / the weird sisters, right? And I think they are they're just such a fun thing concept.
The three little pigs.
Yeah,
the three,
exactly. Always three.
It's always three. Yeah.
And, so you see that so often. And like we referenced before with the Greek the Greek fates, Moirai. And then it's again this three women by the fire mixing their cauldron in the woods,
Yeah.
So in Shakespeare, Macbeth has the three sisters, the prophecy givers, who
like what we were saying with Hecate.
Yeah, they create fate.
Yeah.
And in fairy tales, you have that too, right? Where they are the ones who bless or curse a child. So like think Sleeping Beauty.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like the three sisters in that would be the fairy godmothers, right? Like they're
there
or
to help.
Maleficent, right?
Right. There's two sides of this.
Right.
Yeah.
The magic can be good or bad.
Or both, depending on how you treat her.
Exactly. Also love Maleficent.
Yeah. She's misunderstood. We could have. You can already tell what we like to read. It's
fine. They stand outside the story and they see what's coming and they shape the outcome without fully stepping into the spotlight. While
they're behind the scenes,
like Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather are not the main characters in the story. They influence it a lot.
They're a big. I mean, she wouldn't have made it through infancy, right?
No. Like, wouldn't. Who would have made her that lopsided cake?
Make it big.
So whether you call them fates, witches, or sisters, they have an underlying idea of feminine figures representing knowledge, inevitability, and transformation.
Not stages of life, but control over the story itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, folklore, right?
Yeah.
They're controlling the narrative. So we do see it, on its own too. All right, so pop culture segment.
There we go.
Triple Goddess is, like we were saying, you see it. It's not hidden by any means.
Yeah, a lot of stories have these three figures. It's always
female figures. Yeah. So our brains went to ACOTAR, right?
Has to.
Yes. I think there's a couple different versions of this, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I also will say it's never as neat.
Nope.
As this, so this is like in our brains.
It's again these three separate powers acting as one, right?
Yeah.
So the Archeron sisters is a good example of that. I think a lot of people speculate that their powers are maybe connected and we just haven't seen them actually come to fruition yet.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Feyre is the maiden.
Yeah.
It's kind of just her thing. She happens to be the youngest sister too, which I think is interesting.
I think it works.
And then I see Elaine being the mother.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where I put her.
Yeah.
But it's more because we don't
have as much information.
Really have as much information, but also because I see Nesta as more of the crone.
The crone. The end of the cycle, the more destructive, more mad woman, if you will.
Yeah.
But I also could see people flipping it.
Yeah, like
being
with Elaine
Nesta being the mother because she is the one who's the oldest and protecting all of them
The
in
sisters,
their own
yeah.
her own way, right? And then Elaine being the crone because of her seer
knowledge, the
power.
seer. Yeah.
So I think, again, we don't have enough information there to fully pinpoint them into one spot, but I think that's kind of where we were going. So while that adds up, it only really fits the newer version of this triple goddess. And I think that SJM pulls in way too much old stuff. So truly, I don't think that that's really, it's too simple, to be honest. It's three sisters, three powers, it's
right.
too, it's just the obvious way to put it.
Yeah.
I think it's way more complex. And I think we have other characters who could fall into this triple goddess narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, Amryn, we don't really know who she is, what she can do, really. Like, she's still kind of a mystery. And why is Rhys so afraid of her and giving her jewelry all the time? You know, there's a lot going on there. And more.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, she's the Morrigan. It's
Yeah,
an interesting name choice, to say the least, right?
It's a fun name choice for us.
It is.
It's one where that sort of unknown can mislabel you,
Right.
but we don't know where she quite fits into all of this yet.
Exactly.
We can guess.
We can make some assumptions, but we don't know yet. Yeah, so it's there, but it's not fully fleshed out yet, I don't think. And I mean, Throne of Glass is way more obvious.
Yeah, I mean, you literally have the three-faced goddess that they worship.
And it's the witches. The witches are the ones who worship her. So think Hecate or the Morrigan.
That really feels Hecate and Morrigan-like.
Yeah.
And especially how they battled, right? It just didn't make sense.
Well, she's described as the maiden mother crone.
Yeah, she is.
So in Throne of Glass, right, with the witches, especially Manon, don't really move through life cycles in a neat way, which is interesting because they're the ones that are tied to this triple goddess idea, right? So like Manon, for example, she is the young heir, aka the maiden. And then you also have her as like the protector / leader of the 13, which is kind of like her mother role, right?
Yeah.
Or Braxos, right? And then you also have her inheriting this ancient brutal legacy that she has to live up to, and she does in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of her crone side, right? Encompassing all of these things in one person.
Oh, I'm seeing it. Yeah. Like, because she's also a Kraken too.
Yeah.
So like,
she's got a lot balance, like a lot going on where she's holding all three and not moving through each piece as it goes, if that makes sense.
No, she's all three at once.
Yeah. Where like example, like where you see like Dorian, he evolves over time.
He does.
Where Manon, it's a little bit more all at the same time happening, you know?
And while it's a lot, I mean, think of all that she goes through and does.
And it's more, you know, true to human experience, in my opinion. Like, I think maybe some people it's a little more linear, but I don't think it's that straightforward.
I don't think, at least not for us, not for girls,
not for women. Yeah, exactly. And then I think you see this trio of fates represented a lot in like pop culture, right?
Totally.
So like the Sanderson sisters is the first one that I came up with, right?
Yeah. Sarah and Mary. Yeah, the three classic witches.
Yes, and again, but they all kind of are more powerful together than they are separate.
Absolutely.
And then again, the weird sisters in Macbeth are tied to the fates, right? And then the Hercules Moirai, you know, it all comes back again. And the mean girls.
Yeah.
Just think about it, guys.
Yeah.
You have Gretchen, Regina, and Karen. They all kind of represent this different thing. And they're powerful because they're one unit.
But when you separate them,
they're not as powerful.
They're all like frazzled and
they
like
don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do with themselves.
Exactly.
We see that, and it's interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you know, a reflection of modern, you know, power dynamic, if you will.
Yeah, well, and just like how women are portrayed in that way too.
Yeah, exactly. Also the Powerpuff Girls.
So good.
Like Blossom's the leader, Bubbles is the heart, and Buttercup is the strength.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Perfect modern triad.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I think you see it too in just like modern female archetype, right?
I think that pop culture loves categorizing women into stages. And think about like girlhood, mom era, wise older woman. I mean, I think even with Taylor Swift and her like eras, I think that there are different phases of life and different ways that people process their emotions. Like as you grow. Yeah. It changes. So these are different eras. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's, again, mythology is like explaining it. And and giving you context as to why these things are the way they are. But it also has, again, become reduced more and more over time, that it doesn't really represent what it was intended to. And I think that's, again, back to our friend Robert Graves.
Yeah.
Robert Graves was a British poet and writer who created this book called The White Goddess in 1948. So
new, like especially
new.
compared to these women.
Yeah, he argued that the ancient myths across Europe are actually fragmented into this one religion centered around this great goddess, right? Again, appearing in these three forms of maiden, mother, and crone. It's beautiful and poetic and symbolic. And it had its big impact on Wicca, but it completely narrows the scope of women. It creates we only have importance in three different places in our life, and and that they can't overlap, and that there's no
in-betweens. There's like, it doesn't give room for someone to be knowledgeable and also a mother. And it doesn't give room for the maiden to sort of be learning the ways of the mother.
Right.
It eliminates
this in-between.
The in-between spaces.
Which is what the triple goddess is all about. It's in between
is
liminal
the connections.
spaces. Connections between
the connecting
these phases.
Points.
He started blending mythology, poetry, and personal interpretation. Like a lot of scholars today say that he's not even historically accurate. So the fact that Wicca created this whole centered idea of their religion about just this guy who wrote a book, it's a little bit odd to me. Yeah. It's not enough to convince me that this is the way to look at women. It's also written by a man. So that also makes it very hard
interesting.
For me. What do you know?
Right. I don't think, I mean, again, I take him as, he's not a primary source.
Nope.
He's not.
He's a secondary source.
He's a secondary source, and he's also someone who is speaking to something he has no idea about.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And I think that is what happened. This whole idea is to control the idea of how women are seen, right?
And he's trying to, I guess he's trying to put it into some cohesive system where it can be.
But women are not that simple.
But we're not. And I think we see this in the medical field too with us, is that it's never as simple as just studying us in those three phases of our lives, which we don't even get. But anyway,
I wish we at least got that. Well, also, you know how many medical tests are done on studies of all men and applied to women? That doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense. Our bodies operate entirely different.
And we know that now. Like, I get it being done in the past, but why are we still doing that?
Yeah.
I never will understand. But, I mean, basically, this idea suppresses women.
Yeah.
I hate to be a feminist like that.
I actually am really not
it's not
a feminist, but it's in this
case,
angle,
it feels that way.
This is very much reducing the roles of all three.
Right. Like, the maiden is being kept, and the mother's controlled, and the crone is, villainized, right?
Yeah.
So one face is never deemed acceptable at any time. You are never correct.
And then he's telling us that we can't be all. Like, the ones the in-between zones don't exist.
Yeah.
So
which is complete crap.
So, so then what? Yeah.
I mean, and like the church specifically demonizes the crone. I mean,
it's like
the witch
bad.
trials, or as a literal war on elderly women. They literally just were like, nope, you have autonomy and you are wise. You're not allowed to be part of it.
Yeah.
And the mother is just a vessel. A vessel after being pure, I should say, right?
Yeah.
So they create this narrative that puts women into such narrow avenues. And the triple goddess initially, or these, greater pictures like the Morrigan or Hecate, are the complete opposite of that. They give women more power and could move between all these different facets of life, which is more what women actually are like.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting because we see, like, there are religions now who don't celebrate Halloween, right? And you're like, okay, well, the crone matters too.
So I love Halloween, you guys.
Don't be afraid of the witch.
It's just...
She knows stuff. Let her know stuff.
Right.
So what we also see is the triple goddess representing the cycles of the moon, as we've, I guess, touched on a little bit here, is the seasons of the year and the phases of life. So with the waxing moon, so new to full, maiden energy, setting intentions, beginning projects, the excitement of becoming, the goddess in her most liminal state. So full of potential, right? So that would be your maiden.
Right.
Again, full moon is our mother energy. So maximum illumination, maximum power, the fullness of creative force, harvest, completion, visibility, emotionally the most intense, which checks.
Yes.
Yeah. Can speak to that.
Yeah. Truly.
I'm like, wow, I feel seen now.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
And we get to be the full moon. I love that.
Yeah. Well, full of babies. Yeah.
That took a turn.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so then our waning or dark moon is
side of it, like
the dark side of
the dark side of the moon. Well, like the new moon, going back to the new moon.
Yeah. So as we cycle back, we have the waning moon, which is our crone energy. So release, vanishing, going inward, like a reflection, sort of, if you will. Wisdom in the dark, the most feared and misunderstood phase. Also the most powerful for like internal work.
Right.
Like
kind
reflection.
Of gone through all of these phases, and now you're starting to like
reflect on
all of
your
it.
other your other stages, I guess.
No, and I think Wicca follows that really closely as their framework.
The moon.
The moon and the cycles of the season cycles and all of that. So that ties it back to them. And it's not like a superstition. It's literally embodying this rhythm of the triple goddess.
Absolutely. That's why for many people today, the triple goddess feels so familiar, right?
Yes.
Because Wicca helped turn a complex mythological pattern into a more clear, like accessible system, not necessarily ancient in structure, but deeply rooted in sort of those ancient traditions or ideals.
But as I think we've said already, we find that it can be limiting. And I don't think it encompasses really every piece. It does make it simpler, but for who?
But those in-between stages of the moon
are just
matter too. So it applies in the same way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think like kind of what we said before, you have these in-between stages, right? And, youth, it becomes youth is beauty and motherhood is purpose and age is wisdom. But what about in between, right? What if you are a maiden at 45? And what if you're a crone at 28? And what if you're a mother without children? You can be a mother without actually having your own kids, right? So like there's a lot of fluidity with this concept that is missed with this triple goddess idea as a modern concept.
I think Graves taking away that fluidity is just
it ruins it for me.
It ruins it. Yeah, it's so frustrating. It's like I don't think the women have ever fit into one, two, or even three corners. I think we exist again, across all those spaces.
I mean, the triple goddess represents multiplicity, transformation, sovereignty, the power that evolves, and across mythology, she's not simple. Like she's
complicated. She's contradictory. Yeah. She's powerful in more than one direction, right?
Which
and I think
goddess behavior.
It is. Yeah, it's very on brand for us.
So why is this important today? I think we see it come up so much today that it is important because it's a concept that we still see.
Yeah.
I mean, we brought up obvious, more specific things, but, in motherhood conversation, I think we've, talked about our value as moms and how it changes and evolves over even just a motherhood cycle. Going from maiden to mother that was rough.
It is rough. It's that in between. It's those in between phases that are so misunderstood. Underrepresented and people don't always talk about that either, like those challenges that come with the in-between spaces.
Exactly. Yeah, so the pop culture interpretation, right, it leaves out the ancient meaning behind it all.
Yeah.
Women weren't divided up like that. They embodied multiple forms of power.
Yeah, I think, again, this is something Hesiod did right when encountering these stories, like specifically Hecate, but the goddess was witch, warrior, ruler, and fate weaver all at once. That's a much bigger idea of our life cycle, right?
Sure. I mean, the triple goddess is still in the room, and the question is whether she's a cage or a crown, and it depends on the way that you look at her.
Yeah.
Through the ancient lens or the more modern one.
Yeah. I like the ancient lens.
Me too. Personally, much prefer the ancient lens. I think the other just flattens us so much. It's just not worth even going there. I don't like it. It simplifies it for people who don't understand it, but I feel like we're talking to an audience who doesn't need it to be explained to them in a way. It's just kind of how it is. So tell us which triple goddess fascinated you guys the most. The witch at the crossroads, the war goddess on the battlefield, or women who literally weave fate. All right, well, till next time, everybody.
Until next time. I mean, maybe we'll dig more into this dusk idea or...
Yes, I think there's definitely something about this in-between spaces that we can add to.
I think it matters too.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
all right. Till next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Next week on Goddess Behavior, we're heading into romantasy territory.
We're talking theories for A Court of Thorns and Roses, Book 6, and specifically one character whose name might not be an accident, Mor, also known as the Morrigan.
So the question is, did Sarah J. Maas just borrow the name, or is Mor hiding something much bigger?
Next episode, we're diving into the mythology behind Mor, the theories fans are whispering about, and what it could mean for the future of Prythian.
Because if Mor really is connected to the Morrigan, things might get a lot more dangerous.
If you enjoyed this episode, please follow Goddess Behavior and leave a review. It helps other legendary mortals find us.
Questions are always welcome. No oracle required.
Stay bold.
Stay curious.
That's Goddess Behavior.